Welcome back to Postscript, Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I'm Christina Zeiders.
And I'm Tom Downing.
And today we're going to talk about the season 4 finale.
Episode 6, The
Fugitive. Also, the one where Nash F's everything up.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, it's not good for Nash.
Yeah, no, this is not an episode where Nash really shines as a person.
and we start off the episode, we're in some like drab location, and Nash and Eliza are bickering. Like we cut right into the action.
Oh no, they're bickering like, I don't know, brother and sister, long married couples. You pick one, they're bickering.
And they're we find out that they're running. Like they both blame each other, and there's gunshots, and they're running while being shot at, and they hide. And Eliza asks, "Where is this place?" And there's some like orange dust on her sleeve.
She's asking if it's toxic. And he's like, "We have bigger fish to fry right now."
Yeah, Nash is like,
bullets just zooming by them.
He's like, "This is a good place for a wanted man to hide," and it's some kind of chemical. He can't remember what.
It's some sort of chemical plant. Like, oh, okay, that makes me feel much better.
And Nash is like, "This is there's more gunshots." Eliza tries to lock the door. They go into a room. They lock the door.
Yeah,
and like. She uses the lockpicks to lock. This is like the opposite of what she usually does.
Yeah, usually she's trying to get into something, but this time she's trying to lock him out. And this is when Nash brings up that he was a boxer. He's like getting ready to fight this big guy.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you sure you gave him the right dose?" Because she had dosed him with laudanum.
Yeah, apparently this really large man is like trying to break through, and like it's a really flimsy door. Like it's got glass.
It's got glass. Like all he has to do is break the glass and reach inside.
Yeah, and so like the guy reaches through. They're about ready to go. Like Nash has this
box.
he has his hands up to put up his dukes, and like Eliza grabs like something like a small like knife or something sharp,
something that she can at least injure him with.
And the hand is going through the door, and then suddenly the guy like
it just goes, and he falls backwards. And then they look at so it's a clothing dye. There's shelves, and the shelves fall down, and then that's when the credits explode.
Yes,
and I loved that. I loved that.
It was a good transition. So it
was so colorful.
So that starts off this episode.
Yeah, lots of, and I'm thinking, is this a flashback? Like initially, I'm like, is this a flashback?
I was too.
Or like, how did we get here?
Yes, because we jumped right into the action.
But we get the answer right away.
Right after the title sequence, we're at Nash and Sons. There's lots of clapping. The full staff, because they have
many.
They have a full staff now.
So many men. They're fully staffed. They all look great.
And Eliza actually shares the accolades with Nash and thanks all the men, which shows that she's growing.
Yes, yeah. And she is talking about how this was a very high-profile, well-paying job, and now they're going to be really busy.
Yeah, more cases.
And they're all very happy about it.
More hours, more overtime.
Yes. Yeah. Clarence looks a little bit, no, let's not promise that. But
and this isn't like in the past where she's had like fake people doing this. Like these are real employees, and they're like, "Well done, Miss Scarlet," and it's like,
they're all praising her, which I'm sure she loved that too.
Yeah.
So after they go into Eliza's after that. Clarence shares that it's been their strongest quarter yet, and then says, "Is overtime really necessary?" And she's like, "Well, you said we could afford it, and it's good for morale."
It's good for morale.
He's like, "Oh, okay." And Nash congratulates her for curing Mr. Scrooge.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
And then Nash reveals that he's ready to move back to Paris, which indicates that Eliza has things pretty well in hand.
And she seems actually a little bit surprised by the fact, and she thanks him for the show of faith.
And to celebrate, Nash suggests that they take a break and they head off to the races.
Yes, they take the afternoon off. And she says she doesn't like gambling, but Nash points out that she is the most natural gambler he's ever met. Yeah, she is.
So then we leave there and we go to Scotland Yard, and Fitzroy and Phelps are having a discussion about the good and bad of the unknown.
They're arguing over the semantics of bad versus not good.
Not known, yeah.
Not good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's Phelps says it's not good that they haven't said who's covering for William yet.
After 2 months, yeah.
And maybe they'll send in someone unknown like Hudson from the Irish branch. Remember him? He was horrible.
Yeah, I vaguely remember him. I remember I don't like him.
He was the one who took over William's office and everything like that. It was real bad.
He
was awful.
Yeah. And Phelps at this point asks Fitzroy if he's heard anything about the job from the commissioner, his dad.
Yeah.
And Fitzroy is frustrated. He's like, "I wish people would stop asking me about my dad." And no, he doesn't know anything.
They rarely talk.
Right. But Q Daddy.
Yeah. So So right when Phelps is insulted by a criminal who he's holding on, and he leaves.
Maybe they just don't like you.
Yeah. And that's where Fitzroy is interrupted by his father. Speak of the devil.
He manifested him.
Yes.
Summoned him. Let's say summoned, actually. He summoned him.
And at this point, I was thinking, like, maybe Fitzroy is getting William's job because they were just talking about it with Phelps. And Phelps sounds like Phelps is off the table. So we cut to the bar afterwards. And Fitzroy's dad is uncomfortable in the bar.
He's surprised Fitzroy likes the place because Fitzroy's a fancy man.
Yeah.
And this is a dirty bar.
Yeah, which shows that Fitzroy is growing a bit. And so, like, his dad actually cleans the edge of the glass that he has. He's like, ew. So, I
mean, if there were like lip marks on it, I'd do the same thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's a hard pass. Williams Fitzroy's dad shares that Williams' replacement needs to be political, someone who knows the game, and they did offer it to Hudson.
Yep, and he turned it down.
Yeah,
and they offered it to 5 others, and they all turned it down. Nobody wants it.
No, the expansion to it has made it very unfavorable. There's too much work, too much to cover.
Nobody wants that circus.
And then I was like, he is considering Fitzroy for the job.
Yeah. I was like, looks like Fitzroy's getting it.
I was like, his opinion of Fitzroy is starting to change, although he still
he implies that Fitzroy's getting this promotion, but then he says you always lacked ambition, even as a child. Like, dude, just let a compliment breathe.
He just digs right in.
Yeah.
Like, that's, So... he asks him to seize the opportunity, and Fitzroy is going to lead the next murder investigation. And if he does well, then he'll get William's position for the time being. And Fitzroy says to his dad, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." Like that's how the relationship is.
Yeah, but he does look happy. Like he almost got an "I'm proud of you" kind of almost. Like
it was close.
Dad's like, "Well, you're our last resort."
Yeah, and so
you'll do.
The elder Fitzroy leaves, and like Fitzroy is just pondering that.
Yeah.
And so we cut from that to outside of Nash and Sons, and Eliza and Nash are just getting out of a carriage. Nash calls it beginner's luck, but Eliza apparently has had quite a good time at the races.
Oh yeah, she studied and she did a little research, and she has come back with a pocket full of money.
Yes, yeah, a pocket full because very practical.
She has pockets. I love it.
And inside, Clarence asks, "How did it go?" And Eliza says, "Excellent for some of us." And Nash says, "Nobody likes a gloater."
And she says nobody likes a loser.
I know. Ouch.
It's so mean.
Oh, it's so good. They have this good back and forth.
Yeah. It's all in fun.
Yeah. And anyway, Clarence hands Nash a telegram, which Nash opens with a very sharp letter opener, which I was thinking like
murder weapon.
I was thinking future murder weapon with fingerprints on it, but I was looking at all the different angles. So Nash is visibly disturbed by
he looks really upset.
The telegram, the letter, and Clarence notices. But Eliza dismisses his reaction as a sulk due to his losses, but Nash doesn't even say anything. He just leaves.
Right. The sulking is back,
but
not for the reason that she thinks.
It was very weird. So then later on, we're at Eliza's house. It's nighttime, and Mr. Potts is giving a blessing over the meal.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's done twice before he really is. I would have been like,
there's these long pauses.
She just very gently tries to put the lid back down.
You got to wait for the amen, and she did not. So she's not used to that. She apologizes for not being used to saying the grace before a meal, and they kind of have this back and forth. Mr. Potts compliments Ivy as his muse, which I thought was pretty good.
Well, she says you have a way with words. It's easy when you're my muse.
Yeah.
And she squeezes his hand, but then looks at Eliza awkwardly.
It was awkward. I wrote that down too. Yeah. And then Ivy shifts gears and asks if Eliza has heard from William.
Right.
And Eliza says, yes, she received a letter from him this morning.
He's doing well.
Yep. She plans to write him back after dinner. And then Potts interjects and says, oh, he has something so funny.
Hilarious story from the morgue. Hilarious story that she needs to share with William about the methanol that they received.
So hilarious.
He's just cracking up.
And Ivy apparently said that it was super hilarious to Barnabas. But
it was the funniest story she said it was the funniest story she ever heard. But right now she's looking like, it was the way you told it.
Yes. Yeah. No. And she kind of sidesteps it, saying that Eliza might not do it justice just by writing it down. Right.
That
it was
Eliza
the delivery.
It was his delivery that made it so funny.
But just then there's a knock, and Eliza goes to get it, and Ivy says to Barnabas after Eliza leaves, she says, it was very funny, and kisses him on the cheek. And Potts is like really happy.
He's really happy.
And then he waits, like, wait a second.
I don't think she thinks it's funny.
Yeah, he's definitely suspicious. So we cut to Eliza at the front door, and it's Fitzroy.
It's Fitzroy, yeah. So he's there. And he has a delicate matter to discuss. He's very, he looks a little shifty.
Yeah.
And he's looking for Nash.
Yes.
Because there's been a murder.
And Eliza thinks it's because, like, looking for Nash because
he needs some help with the murder case. But no, Nash is a suspect.
Yeah. Apparently.
And I mean, he does look suspicious right now.
Yeah. So the victim was stabbed several times in a street in Aldgate. And so that's where we go next is the murder scene.
Yeah. And Fitzroy brings Eliza to the murder scene. Phelps is visibly distressed about this, but Fitzroy reminds him that he's in charge several times.
Yeah, and it's a dimly lit street. The victim is lying on the ground with a wound in his belly. There's a death photographer who was just leaving after taking a photo.
There's some cuts on his hand. Yeah. Eliza points out that the death blow must have been a stab through the heart. Phelps is just like, I'm so glad you're here. We would have never figured that out.
Exactly. He's very dismissive. Fitzroy defends Eliza and reminds Phelps again that Fitzroy, is the officer in charge of this investigation. This happens a few times, and he's definitely trying to assert his dominance in this situation.
Fitzroy is not a assertive person, so this is out of character for him. Anyways, Eliza doesn't recognize the man that's laying in the street. She's never heard of him before. They know his first name. It's Aimee.
Aimee.
And she doesn't know anything, but she knows that not Phelps. Nash is many things, but not a murderer.
Yes.
And there's also this dynamic where Phelps makes a snide comment about Fitzroy having the case because of his dad.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. That's just a going thing throughout this whole episode.
Yeah, there's a back and forth between Fitzroy and Phelps a lot. The dynamic is there's a lot of growth with Fitzroy in this. So then after that, the question is, where is Nash at this point?
Right. He ran out. Now there's a man dead. He was seen over the body. He
doesn't look
very
good for Nash.
guilty.
Yeah,
very
as we
guilty.
said. Yeah. So we cut to Nash and Sons, and Clarence is telling Eliza that no one has seen Nash, and Eliza asks about the telegram that was there, and at this point, Eliza's also drinking whiskey at this point, which she does more and more on a regular basis.
Yeah, she's been having a regular whiskey every so often.
But Eliza shares with Clarence the name of the victim, Aimee, and
and it's like the shift happens in Clarence. She's like, "Do you know the name?" And he's like, "That's a difficult question to answer." And she's like,
awkwardly
"Why?"
Respond. Yeah.
Why?
Don't give Eliza that. She'll bite. He doesn't want to lie to Eliza, his superior, but he also doesn't want to wish to betray Mr. Nash's confidence. And so Eliza rightly points out that if Nash is charged with murder, they will both be out of a job.
Right. Things will go very badly. So we do find out that Clarence feels comfortable sharing that Aimee is a contact that he does not pay directly, that Nash pays him. Yeah. And Nash told him to stay out of it.
And his full name is Aimee Murray, we find out.
Because Clarence had a cab driver tell him the address of where he took Nash for the payment.
So not only do we know his name, we actually know where he is.
Murray.
And so that's where we go next. And
this is a pretty quick scene.
It is very quick.
She lets herself in. She looks around, and she finds a tin on the floor.
Yeah, it's a can of snuff, and there's we're filing this away for future reference. Also, she lockpicked her way in, which
she did.
She's always it's the universal key. Everyone has it. Yeah. So we cut to the morgue, and we see a toe tag with Aimee Murray's name on it. So they figured out his name as well.
The police know his last name too.
Yeah. Mr. Potts is there, and he's telling Fitzroy that he's wasted his time coming there because there's not been time enough for a postmortem.
Right, they're behind on the cases. There's too much work.
And this is where Potts kind of is like, well, since your dad is the police commissioner, maybe
you could put a bug in his ear that there's too much work.
And Fitzroy is he
gets mad immediately.
Yeah,
he's very sensitive about it.
Yeah.
And this is when Fitzroy does something that's very out of character for him. And when
Phelps is there too.
I'm getting all the names.
So Potts is there. Yeah.
When Potts Potts tries to address Phelps several times.
Yeah.
And Fitzroy corrects him. And then Potts also says, "Hey, well, I could offer my opinion." And this is when Fitzroy just snaps and says, "You don't have any medical training. I don't want your opinion. Let me know immediately."
Yeah, you're just a clerk. He calls Potts, which really Barnabas really cares about status.
Yeah.
This was really a cut.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Which will work in Eliza's favor later.
And then Potts starts to turn to Phelps to talk to Phelps, like, because Phelps is usually the one in charge. And Fitzroy again says, "You will address me, Mr. Potts.
Yeah.
I am leading this investigation," Fitzroy says. Yeah, it's so he leaves, and Phelps turns to Potts and says about Fitzroy,
he's a
sensitive soul. And Potts is like, "Indeed," kind of shook. So then we cut to Nash and Sons.
Yeah. Clarence is in Eliza's office, and he looks visibly just beside himself.
He's got his head in his hands. Yeah. He's really distraught.
He only betrays Nash's confidence because he is worried. He found out that there's another person that Nash is paying directly, and he's so upset about telling on Nash that he asks Eliza to threaten him.
Yeah. And Eliza turns to him and says, "Clarence, I will dismiss you immediately unless you give me the information you've discovered." And Clarence is like, "Ooh,
that's good.
That's very good." So
we find out once a month, Nash makes a payment to a lady named Margaret Farrell, and that is all I know, he says.
But Eliza's like, "You're going to tell me the address."
Apart from the address.
Yeah, and so he gives it. And so we cut to Margaret Farrell's home, which is at the George Miles lodging room. So it looks like an apartment.
Okay.
And she's at room 6. And there's a man that answers the door, not Margaret.
Nope.
He's a large man, which again, from the beginning, we thought that was a flashback, although it wasn't. But I was like, is it? Are we being duped? And it is a flashback. Is this the guy? He's a big guy.
It's not.
So
and he claims to be Margaret's husband.
Yeah. So, and Eliza says she's looking for Margaret Farrell, and he also says, "So am I, darling."
Yeah.
And so that's when, we find out that he's her husband, and asks who is looking for her. And Eliza mentions Nash, and as soon as she does,
his whole demeanor changes.
He gets real serious.
He gets creepy.
He says that he's a fisherman, and that someone visits Margaret when he's gone, and he's very angry, and he thinks that Nash and Margaret ran off together,
an affair
because he heard about someone
St.
Patrick, and so he assumes that's the same Patrick Nash.
Yep.
But then Eliza sees this guy getting some snuff from the same kind of tin. He pulls
out the tin, and it matches the one.
It's exactly the same brand
that she found in Aimeen's apartment.
And the guy offers, "You want some?" And Eliza's like, "No, a friend of mine just uses the same brands," which she's lying, but and then he's like,
on second watching, his teeth are terrible.
Oh, I have that written down.
Very yellow.
The guy says, "Small world," and he smiles, and you see all the tobacco.
Yeah. Oh, it's not great.
No.
And before she leaves, because she's like, "I need to get out of here. This is not a good man." He says, "When you find her, you'll let me know. Don't make me come looking for you."
Oh yeah, very very threatening. I have here.
Yeah.
So. Then we go to the city morgue, and Eliza walks up, and Mr. Potts answers after Lenore. The door gets knocked on.
Oh my gosh, yes, and it's Eliza, and she says she's assisting Fitzroy, and he's told her to wait inside for him
to meet her there. Yes.
Yeah.
And they're working on the case. Aimee Murray. Potts shares that they still have not conducted the postmortem. Eliza lies again and says that Fitzroy said for her to wait inside, like you said.
Okay, yeah.
And she's like, "That still honors our part of the agreement," she says to Potts.
Because she's supposed to be accompanied by a police officer.
Potts is like, "No, it doesn't." Shuts the door.
And then she knocks again, and she says, "Ivy's like a mother to me, and when you two are wed, you'll be like a father to me."
Oh, playing the Ivy card. Potts is like, "Yet you still seek to lie, cheat, and manipulate me as ever." Slams the door again. And then inside, he's muttering to himself, but then there's, "Mr. Potts, please." And he turns around, and she's already inside.
She's inside. Because she's picked the lock.
She can do that. Universal key. So she's inside, and this is when she realizes that all of her lies are not working.
Yep.
She shifts to the truth. And answers Potts every objection before he even has a chance to say it.
Because she knows them all. She's heard them all.
So she ends it on asking Potts' informed opinion.
Yes, she asks for his informed opinion, and "It is your informed opinion that I seek." And that's like, "Oh, well, I'm glad somebody values my opinion."
She uses lockpicks, and she uses flattery. Both open these doors. And
then he's like, "You had one question?" She's like, "His teeth."
Yeah, what are the condition of the dead man's teeth?
Yeah, and she gets some time.
And that's when we cut to Eliza's house.
This is also another good cut.
Yeah.
Sheet goes up. Yep. Now we're at Eliza's.
And Eliza walks up and sees Fitzroy at her door. Fitzroy has a question. It appears that Aimee sent a telegram to Nash saying, quote, he's back.
Yep, that's
and
all the telegrams.
Fitzroy says, do you know what that could mean? And Eliza says no, and notices that Fitzroy looks tired, calls him Oliver, which she does when she's like, she cares.
Yeah.
And he just shares that he's pressured in the case. He shares that he may take William's place during this secondment.
Yeah.
That
if he does well with this case.
Yeah.
And he really... Ultimately, Fitzroy really wants to impress his dad. He's been trying to do this since he was probably a baby child.
It's his motivation.
So
yeah. And then he also makes her promise that if she makes contact with Nash to let him know immediately.
Yep.
And she agrees, which is our cue that he's going to be inside the house.
See, I was a little bit surprised. That's because I'm really bad at mysteries.
Yeah.
So she goes, of course, she goes inside. Nash is there.
Yeah.
She already knew it. She got his note.
I didn't know that. I thought that he was just going to be there, like he let himself in. But she knew. She knew when she lied to Fitzroy.
Yes, she can be a good liar.
Yeah.
And Nash is there. He basically tells her several times to leave this alone.
Oh yeah.
But she has questions.
This is not going to work, Patrick. Patrick's like
this. Yeah. She has questions like, what does this telegram mean? Where is Maggie, this missing woman? And how do you know who I met? Because he tells her to stay away. It's a dangerous man.
And yeah, the man who said that he was Maggie's husband was not her husband. Yeah. So so that's Eliza shares her info about the tobacco. Nash is worried about her and warns her to stay out of this again, and
for
he
her
leaves.
Own safety.
Yeah. So then we cut to Scotland Yard.
Well, we find out that Eamon's teeth were perfect too in this scene. So that's a key thing. He was not a tobacco user.
So we know that the tobacco was there because
somebody else was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Scotland Yard, Eliza puts the tin of chewing tobacco down in front of Fitzroy. That's how we'll find him. And Fitzroy's like, who? And Phelps is like, the murderer.
Bloody hell, the murderer.
They squabble back and forth until Eliza interrupts. Apparently,
she's like just trying to keep them focused.
Yeah.
Focused on the case because she needs to find Nash and prove he's innocent.
Yeah. So they find out that there was an Irishman from Oslo who is now the suspect, the one who has the tobacco.
Yeah.
And Eliza already has the manifest for the Navik is the boat. There was a crew of 17. The suspect is a person by the name of Sean O'Driscoll.
Yep.
And Phelps.
He's the only Irishman on a whole ship full of Norwegians.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Phelps says, we'll check around the docks, and Fitzroy yells at Phelps. Phelps leaves slowly, like he's like, come on.
Yeah, Fitzroy orders him to get 10 men. I think it was 10 men.
Yeah, and Fitzroy apologizes to Eliza.
For his outburst, yeah.
Eliza shares some advice that Fitzroy's not as good at rebuke and encouragement as William. And Eliza says he's not William and that he'll find his own way.
Yeah, so Fitzroy needs to find his own way to deal with people. And he takes this to heart. This is good.
It's again.
And this is at play at the docks, kind of. Mm-hmm. So at the docks, Phelps and the men have rounded up the shipmates. But none of them are Sean because Eliza's there to confirm. Mm-hmm. And Fitzroy asks the men politely, if they don't cooperate, there will be consequences. Do any of you know Sean O'Driscoll?
Silence.
Yep. So he asks Phelps for help. He's like, oh, now you want it.
Yeah.
And we find out,
And Phelps is good at it because Phelps shares a story about his father and like how like the fishermen, how they kind of go and then he kind of puts a little bit of the turn of the screws because he's like, hey, we can keep you all for questioning and then
but then you'll miss a job. And that was always my dad's worst fear was that he would pass out drunk and miss the ship. And then he'd have to miss a job or have to hang out with his wife.
Yeah.
Like,
so one man steps forward and they like, do you know about this? And he's like, no, but he was.
I know, he rats out a guy.
And so that guy like books it.
He hoofs it away. And so
they fight.
Fitzroy kind of corners him in like a dead end area. He gets headbutted.
Yeah.
Fitzroy gets headbutted. And like you think he's out. And
the guy pulls a gun on Phelps and Fitzroy hits him over
was it a gun?
Yeah.
I thought it was a knife.
Maybe.
I don't know. He pulls out a weapon.
Yeah, and Fitzroy hits him over the head with his gun and knocks him out. I think you're right. Maybe it was a knife. Yeah, and then so then we cut to Scotland Yard. They're interviewing the man, and Phelps is doing the interview.
Yep, because he's in charge.
Mm-hmm.
The first night, all the men assumed that Sean would go home because he was saying how he has a wife that lives in the area, but he stayed with the men. And then on the second night, he came back drunk, angry, and covered in blood.
Yeah, and he said that he threatened a man, and so this is and they confirmed that that's the night of the murder.
Yes, that was 2 days ago. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So at Scotland Yard, we find Fitzroy finds a rap sheet from the London police. So they didn't have it in their files. It was with the city police.
At Clerkenwell, yeah. And they had the info, and apparently Sean O'Driscoll had many petty crimes, but he was also wanted in the murder
of a Michael Nash.
Which is Nash's brother.
So the story that he told back at Hotel St. Mark was true. His brother was murdered. And so he's not a total liar.
This is Nash's motivation.
Yep.
So,
yep. Oh, he's just... Yeah.
So we cut to Nash and Sons. Clarence is very pensive. Eliza enters and asks about Nash's brother, and Clarence needs to show Eliza something. There's another hidden safe.
Another safe in her office. Another one in the floor.
In the floor. And Eliza's like, how many hidden safes does one man need? And apparently Nash opened the safe, and maybe he's fleeing.
Right. Only Nash and Clarence know of the safe's existence, and he kept stuff inside it in case he ever needed to disappear.
Yeah.
Eliza is confused about why he would be running away because he's not a coward, and now the police aren't looking for him; they're looking for Sean O'Driscoll.
Yeah. There's more to this story.
So Eliza asks Clarence to go see if anything else is missing, and she stays in her office and she's thinking.
Yeah.
But we flash to the outside of the boarding house.
Yeah, where Driscoll's supposed to be. Phelps is showing Fitzroy that he is very capable of doing his job. He's like, my men will go around to the back, and he's like, my apologies.
Your men.
Your men. And Phelps shares that you're either in charge or someone's mate, never both.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't totally agree with, but, you know, the hierarchy has to be maintained.
Yes. Saving lives is a given. He doesn't get credit for that.
Yeah, Fitzroy basically says, well, you at least owe me a thank you for saving your life back there. And he said, I do the same for you. I do the same for any of these men. Either do the job or don't.
Yeah. Don't have me tell you how good a job you've done.
Just don't tell. I think it's that you're a good boy or something like that. Fitzroy's just looking for external validation.
That's his motivation.
Everything he does, and Phelps is not there for it. No.
And at this point, there's whistles blowing. All the
men charge in.
And so we cut from there to Eliza at Nash and Sons, and she notices
very briefly.
Yeah, she notices an orange powder and remembers the orange powder from the beginning.
Right.
And the fact that Nash said in the beginning that it's a good place
for a wanted man to hide.
Aha. So then we cut to the dye factory from the very beginning of the episode.
Yes, and Eliza's alone. Listen, I wrote in all caps, alone. Why are you alone? Because I don't know what she's walking into. She's not taking anybody.
She could have talked to Fitzroy or even Phelps, anyone.
Yeah, I mean, Phelps would go along with her probably.
So Eliza's walking up the stairs and Nash is there.
Yep.
And Eliza shares that she knows that Sean O'Driscoll murdered his brother, and we find out, which we could have surmised, that Nash is hunting Sean.
Right. Eliza's like, at first I thought you were running, but then I realized you're hunting him.
And not only that...
and she goes, you found him, haven't you? What have you done, Patrick?
He already has him tied up.
Because he has crazy eyes. He has crazy eyes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes. Patrick is not
he
his
thinks
normal
he's
self.
thinking clearly. He is not thinking clearly. He's got the crazy eyes.
Well, his brother's death was his motivation to do everything.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Like if somebody murdered my sister, I would probably want to actually murder them with my bare hands.
Oh, yeah.
So I get the rage.
Yeah.
Get the crazy eyes. It's fine. So Nash takes her to Sean. He has him tied up. Apparently, Nash also really was a very good boxer because this guy's beat up and he's a big guy.
He's a big guy. So Patrick wasn't kidding.
No.
Also, I want to make a note that this entire sequence here, they have color grading on it. Like, so they did some color effects to make everything's very blue. Like they affected the color just to kind of give it a feel. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very blue. All these things are shot very blue, and it's a kind of like just kind of twisting that emotional a little bit more. So it was well done.
So we find out that there were two witnesses to his brother's murder: Maggie, a barmaid who Sean took a shine to. Mm-hmm. And Aimee, who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yep. And Patrick was paying them to let him know if, Sean ever came back. Aimee was good for his word, told him so, but he did not get to Aimee in time to stop him from being murdered as well.
So Sean killed Aimee,
But then, Maggie is in a safe location.
Yes. And
we don't know where.
Eliza says, tell all this to the police. And Nash, this is where Nash reveals that he wants to kill Sean. Yeah, Nash has a gun.
He's ready to put a bullet in his brain.
Eliza stands in the way, And Nash is like, get out of my way. And Eliza says, if not for yourself, then for me. And Nash hits us like,
she's like, no, Patrick, please do not do this. If not for yourself, then for me. And he goes, for you.
For you?
And she says, all my life, I've been told there are things I cannot do. And we see Sean trying to untie himself. And I'm like, Eliza, don't monologue. Bad things happen when you monologue.
They don't see this happening. He's breaking free.
And then she goes on, for all your faults, and God knows there are many, you're the only one to show any faith in me. You're not only my business partner, you are my friend. Listen, this is why he feels like a good pair for her, but not right now.
Yeah.
He's not a good pair for her right now. And I will admit.
Yeah. And Nash says, you always know the right thing to say.
Yeah. And he starts putting the gun down.
Well, you always know the right thing to say. It really is most annoying.
yeah.
So then, at this moment, is when Sean, who was tied up,
has untied himself,
jumps up and with a sharp piece of glass, and he's going to kill Eliza. And Patrick just shoots him, and I'm like, he's dead. So
right, I thought so too. Well, he's going to. The murderer is dead, but this doesn't look great
or defending
for Patrick Nash.
So we cut to the Scotland Yard and interrogation room, and Fitzroy tells Eliza that Sean Driscoll will live. He's not dead, like I thought.
Right, he was shot in the shoulder. The bullet went right through.
Yeah,
he's going to live.
Eliza shares that Patrick saved her life. And Fitzroy and Phelps said that they might be lenient with that because Eliza, regarding her cooperation, but for the kidnapping and the obstruction of justice, they can't turn a blind eye. Nash will be charged, and if convicted, he will serve time.
Yeah,
so,
and she will need to testify on Patrick Nash's behalf that it was self-defense, that he saved her life. But he's going to jail.
Yeah.
He's going to jail.
And so Eliza then asks to see Patrick. So we cut to the jail cell. Patrick's there sitting on the bench.
She's not usually locked in with somebody else who she's consoling. So
it's been a while since she's gotten thrown into the jail.
She hasn't been arrested lately.
So we see a lot of old sets in this episode coming back. So jail cell is definitely one of them. Eliza visits Nash in jail, and Eliza asks how he is, and Nash says, "I've been better. My license will be suspended pending trial. The office is closed. Hopefully not for long."
He's trying to be optimistic.
Eliza sits next to him, and Nash, he knows a few good lawyers. He's still trying to convince her.
And a few high court judges. And with my good looks and your brains, and he trails off, and he goes, "You don't believe me, do you?
Yeah.
Don't answer that." And then he says, "What will you do in the meantime?"
And then Eliza says, "What I always do. I'll be fine."
And that I have no doubt, he responds. So there's this really sweet moment, and he says that he's sorry. She says that's not necessary. And he says, perhaps, and this is why I think he's a good person. Perhaps, but I want you to think I'm a good person. Yeah. And she goes, that'll never happen, Patrick. And he chuckles.
And then
but he says, no, but I'll always keep trying. So I really like Nash. He's a good guy at his core.
Yeah. And he, at this point, Eliza holds his hand too. They're sitting on the bench in the jail cell together. He's trying to be a good man for her,
for her. Yeah. For her.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
He was trying to change for her. I don't think it's going to happen. There's potential now because he's going to jail.
Yeah. Also, she referred to him as a friend, so he's kind of been friend zoned, but he cares about.
Told William he's a friend.
True.
Too.
Yeah.
So
but we saw the origin episode. There is something there. She may say that. So we cut to the Fat Goose pub where Fitzroy's dad is there, and Fitzroy's dad still doesn't like being there.
Yeah, he's very uncomfortable in this dirty pub where the normal police officers all hang out.
And Fitzroy says, "We're here because I like it." So he's asserting himself against his dad. Fitzroy's dad offers Fitzroy the job, but Fitzroy refuses it.
He says no. And I was like, is he going to suggest Phelps? Is he going to do it?
Fitzroy's dad says, "Don't you have any ambition?" And Fitzroy's like,
no.
I'm not sure.
He likes his job. He knows he has a lot to learn, and he's happy with what he's doing right now.
He's once again disappointed his father, but Fitzroy leans in.
Yeah.
And he says, "That is your concern, Father.
I love it.
Not mine."
He's finally free.
Yes.
Remember back a few seasons where, what was her name? The Hattie, where she tells Eliza that she's free because she doesn't care what anyone thinks. Fitzroy's he's finally free.
He literally says, I no longer care. And I'm like, nice. Fitzroy then recommends Phelps as the best man for the job.
Well, we only know this because we cut to Scotland Yard and Phelps is yelling at everybody. Yeah. And I love this line. At some point he says, I'll say it again for the heart of thinking. I'm like, I'm going to tuck this away.
Oh, yeah. Heart of thinking. Hard of hearing. So he dismisses all the men. He says, not you, Detective Fitzroy.
Yeah.
And Phelps says to him, thank you. And Fitzroy's like, was there anything else?
Very aggressively, though.
And Phelps is like, was there anything else, sir? And Fitzroy smiles, and Phelps says, now get up, go on, bugger off. And Phelps sits down at his desk, and he's like,
yeah, he looks comfortable.
He likes William's desk. So then we
do you remember when William would have his afternoon whiskey?
Yes.
What time was it?
I don't remember what time.
Oh, okay. Because the clock is at like 2:00, like a little past 2, and I'm like, is it the exact same time that William would have his whiskey? Because he reaches for the whiskey. That was just like side quest thought I had.
Very much. There's a lot of parallels, and now Phelps is and he is the right man for the job.
Yeah,
he demonstrated that the entire episode.
He has the experience. He knows how to command men. He knows how to talk to who he needs to talk to.
He may not be the most political person, but he is the best person.
Yeah.
So then we cut from there to Eliza's house. It's nighttime, and Eliza has a glass of whiskey.
Yep.
She's looking out the window.
I don't know if she is, because at first she's sitting down, and I thought she was writing to William, but she stands up right away. So I don't know if she was actually writing back to William or not.
Well, there's a voiceover of her talking with William about whether it's all worth it. She's like I almost thought like that she's there. There's the voiceover. I was thinking that maybe is this what she's writing? But no, it's the flashback.
Yeah, it's a flashback
to when she was talking with William, and she's remembering William saying that she is a good detective and that she knows how to make it work. She always does. And so that's the support.
She always finds a way to make it work.
Yeah.
So this is our next scene.
Yep.
I'm like, is that her old office wall? And she hangs a picture of her and her dad.
Where the hole used to be.
Yeah,
that's patched.
And Clarence is there helping her move.
It's very dusty.
Is Ivy and Potts. Potts looks like he's going to just fall apart at any moment. He mentioned something about his lower vertebrae.
Oh, and Ivy's very protective.
Yeah, she is. And Eliza assures Clarence that once she's back on her feet, she will give him a call. There will be a space for him at her detective agency. And he says that he has a small savings and he'll do quite well. Yeah. So I think he's been tucking away a good amount of money.
So we don't know if he's going to be in next season. But
I'm hoping.
I am hoping.
We'll talk about.
So there's at this point there's a Miss Scarlet like shouted from outside.
Yeah. And so at first I thought it was Fitzroy, but no, it was the painter.
Yeah. He goes outside and she looks up and we do this nice. She says it's perfect. And we have the pan up the front of the building. And it says, Miss
Eliza Scarlet, private detective.
And that
I cried both times.
And that is the end of the episode.
Okay.
End of this season.
Yep.
So now
at this point, this was a really long first part, but we're gonna take a break and then we're gonna talk about what we think about what this means going forward, if it will go forward, what we think might happen to the detective agency, possible partners, that sort of thing.
Yes. So stick around. We'll be right back.
If you haven't already, subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at youtube.com/@WITFMosaic, then like or comment on the videos and share your thoughts. Or you can email us at ps@witf.org. You can also like, share, and comment on Postscript Shorts on Facebook at witf.org or Instagram at WITFORG. We love having you here with us each week to chat about all the drama on Miss Scarlet and the Duke. Help keep it going with a gift of support. Go to WITF.org/mosaic and give $5, $10, whatever amount fits your budget. Your gift helps WITF grow and bring you more of what you love.
Welcome back. So now we have the fun part where we talk about...
Where we just think... We just formulate what we think is going to happen, which is based on absolutely nothing. Because we don't... At this point when we're recording it, we don't have any details as to whether it will be renewed. I hope so.
If we did, we'd share them with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Promise.
Yeah. But so yeah, we're gonna kind of what we think might happen, what we think about like the season, past seasons.
Yeah. Where they might be going.
If you have anything to share or add about like this episode or the entire season in general, just feel free to like leave us a comment below
or email us at ps@witf.org.
Yes.
I haven't said that for a while. So
PS, like Postscript, easy to remember. PS. So, but yeah, leave us a comment if you're listening to, if you're watching us on YouTube, or you can just email us if you're listening to us on the podcast side of this. Yeah.
So there a lot happened in this season.
Yeah.
So I'm not I don't know for sure, but I'm not confident that Nash will be back.
I don't know.
In the next season.
Maybe.
I mean, unless he is optimistic because he does know good lawyers and he does know some high court judges, and it's just a blip.
He might be back for an episode or maybe even the season finale, I think, because like he is the other option for Eliza and like Eliza and William, Eliza and Nash. And so maybe she might have to make a decision between the two.
There's partner.
Not that there's a decision.
She ultimately ended up working really well with Nash.
Yeah, but it's called Scarlet and the Duke. So we kind of know.
That feels like a clue.
Feels like a clue. Surprise! Nash has been called the Duke by someone somewhere. I have no idea. But the season finale episode was written by the creator of the show, so we know this is canon. This is actually
this is like what was intended.
The Fugitive, yeah. But we also know that like actors come and go. I mean, that's what happened with Moses, and maybe hopefully Moses will be back for next season.
And I wonder if that's what happened with William, that he had an early exit from this season.
Maybe
too, because
conflicts happen.
After he left from New York, everything was a flashback. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do like because it's canon. Eliza was like, she's not interested in working for someone else or under someone else. She wants her own agency. So that pan up, she's back in her normal office. It feels very much Eliza Scarlet. Like that feels like her story. This Nash thing, I mean, like Nash and Sons was kind of like a diversion, which, you know, you often take in life.
Yes. Yeah. But it's also given her the time to find herself and do exactly what William asked her to do, is just kind of get her
figure
priorities.
Out what she wants.
Yes.
Yep. And she learned a lot too.
She did.
Like she was very used to working for herself, by herself, and like the people she hired, she told them what to do, but it was like here and there.
Yeah. And
now she knows how to delegate. She knows how to hire people.
I wonder if that'll happen next season. If there is next season. So that's the thing. It's did they wrap this? Here's a question for our audience.
Oh my gosh.
Do you think they wrap this up enough that they can just stop the show? I hope not. But
I feel like they would be doing us very dirty to not have William finally made a declaration of love. It feels like we deserve some resolution on that.
So next,
even if it's not a happy ending.
So let's just assume there's going to be another season.
Yeah.
I fingers crossed. I'm hopeful.
But to that point, they did wrap it up really well.
They did.
It was like kind of perfect. Like she's back on her own.
With her name above
like she's finally put her name above the door.
Okay. I'm going to pretend you didn't just say that. I'm going to say there's going to be another season.
I want another season.
So there's going to be another season. I see it as a few different ways. It's going to be the entire season is just her solving crimes on her own, or maybe she's hired people because she's grown.
I hope she really does hire Clarence, because he's a good character. Great. And I think he could complement. I mean, we know that Moses worked for Nash and Sons too. I feel like if they bring Moses back in, which I'm also hoping for, that they will be really good assistant to Eliza, and they'll really add to the storyline a lot.
So if they bring Moses back, we're going to have an episode where we find out, like, because someone was chasing him.
Yeah, he's outrunning somebody. Yeah.
So that is, if he comes back, there's going to be an episode where that gets resolved. Like, there's going to be, like, Eliza's going to...
That he can actually settle somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would bring him back, which would be great.
I'm not confident that Moses will be back.
I know.
But
this is a wish list item.
I'm really hoping because I love him so much.
Which would be good, because that would actually be like, he's back. William, there might be that love triangle kind of thing again.
Well, yeah, my imagined love triangle. I feel like this one is very imagined.
But You think the ship has sailed?
I love Moses. He would be perfect, but I feel like that's just not going to happen.
We didn't see New Solomon either in this episode. I thought he was going to be this whole season. No, I was like, he was going to be like sliding into the Moses role, and then he was just the one episode, and that was it.
Yeah, no New Solomon.
Interesting. So okay, so I see next season like Eliza's on her own, and then maybe for the season finale of next season, then William returns, or there could be a grand gesture. Either Eliza goes to New York, or William comes back. There's got to be some.
There has to be some resolution.
Yeah, a grand gesture of some
William and Eliza storyline. There has to be. It just would be so mean, Masterpiece, if we didn't get resolution to this like declaration of love.
It's called Miss Scarlet and the Duke. We keep saying that. So, and then we were talking about like if Eliza and William do get together, we talked about like how their dynamic would be, work or relationship.
Because William, we know William can't go to Scotland Yard if she's a detective. He's already said like he cannot be at Scotland Yard while she's also a private detective. Like it just will not work, and he cannot be with her without being with her. And so, like, what is he going to do? Because she's not giving up the detective agency. Her name's above the door now.
The only thing I see is he's going to follow Henry's path. And Henry became a private investigator. So then maybe they could be together. But she just got her name above the door. No. It's not going to be, Miss Eliza Scarlet and William Wellington's private detective agency. That's not going to fit. So, and then we talked about if they get married, like, would he be, like,
he's very traditional. I mean, so like it's not going to be Eliza Wellington.
No,
it doesn't flow. It doesn't flow. Eliza Scarlet flows so well.
Yeah, William Scarlet.
And now she's known professionally as Eliza Scarlet.
Him taking her name would be it flows real well. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Society would not. I mean, it's not as progressive as we are now.
That feels too much of a jump. I could see him coming back, realizing that he wants to be with her, and that ultimately they work together as business partners and life partners.
Yes,
that
would be the best ending.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the happiest ending we could ever possibly hope for. Yeah. And they'd make a great team. We know they make a great team in investigations. Mm-hmm. They're both good at different things.
Yes, their skills complement each other, where Nash and Eliza have more overlap of being almost the same but slightly different. Where William and Eliza have very, very different skill sets that actually very well complement
William's
each other.
very good at threatening people.
Yes,
information.
Yes. And
Eliza not so much.
So so there's that too.
She has to outsmart them.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about like if there be a time jump, maybe like how much time is going to happen between this season and next season.
So my hope is that William comes back early, because I feel like there's still a lot of stuff they need to work out. So if he comes back early in the season, he's back from New York. They have to figure this out.
I would like that.
I think having an entire season for them to hash out, to have arguments, to try and like. Eliza's going to show she's stubborn. She's not giving it up.
That's not going to change.
I mean,
they're both stubborn.
She's not going to give up her detective agency. It's what she's wanted her whole life, and now she has had it.
She has her name above the door.
And it's finally happened, which William asked her several times when she's going to put her name above the door when she had her father's office. And she always said, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Now it's time. So she's not going to just be like, okay, but now we're married, so I guess I'll just do your laundry and fold your underwear.
Well, I think everyone you're watching, we all agree that's not going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
No, it's,
I also, like, so Ivy and Barnabas have been so great. So I feel like if next season, if we get a next season and it's the final season, which I feel like it almost has to be, sadly, because William's made his declaration of love. Now it's will they or won't they? Yeah. And that's it. That's what we need to know.
The next season would be like an epilogue season where things get wrapped up nicely. Like Ivy and Barnabas. They get married. I think they're probably going to have a marriage episode.
That would be so nice. They're so cute together.
But we know there's going to be a crime involved somehow. We don't know what's going to happen.
What if we just get one really nice episode where they just get married?
No mystery?
And the mystery is like, oh no, we lost the rings.
Oh, that would be great. They'd probably get stolen though. It's not just like lost. Like it's in the corner. Why didn't you look in the corner?
Or they do a crossover with All Creatures Great and Small. The dog ate it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's all connected.
But
it's all one universe.
It would be nice to just have a happy episode for Ivy and Barnabas. Like, they've just been so delightful. Also, it'd be interesting to see Barnabas in that, like, fatherly role. He is protective of Eliza. He's shown that several times, but he's also so annoyed by Eliza.
There's it's a good conflict between the two of them. Yeah,
I love it. And then Fitzroy also, like, I want to see where Fitzroy goes. He's comfortable in his role. He wants to earn the promotion the right way, not just because his dad offers it to him.
Yeah,
and
not
he
through
feels
nepotism.
like, well, if I finally take this, my daddy will love me. So I'm interested to see Fitzroy and his, like, new freedom and new role and what happens. Will Phelps get moved out of the role when William comes back?
See, okay, so there are going to be some things that we expect to happen, and they've got to pull the rug out from underneath us a little bit. So the things that we're just talking about now, we're going to be wrong on a lot of them.
Oh, for sure.
And I think if we're wrong
predicting the future,
if we're wrong in the right ways, it's going to be very interesting. Like that's what we want. Is like we want to have something where we're like, oh, it's going to be satisfying, but also surprising.
Yeah.
And this show is really good about the surprising. Like when you think you've got it all wrapped up.
When you think the show is over, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. So I think what if I want to hear
your theories because you always have great theories.
Not always. You're kind. You're being kind. What if Fitzroy, since now he's his own person and he's doing things for himself instead of just trying to do things to impress his father, what if he's the one who leaves Scotland Yard and becomes a private investigator with Eliza?
I do like that.
That'd be very good
because they make a good team. But he has a little crush on Eliza. Does he become the love triangle? No.
He has been in this since he's been introduced. He has been in every season. So since he's been introduced,
I do think that Eliza sees him more as like someone who needs mentorship, like a little brother almost.
He does have little brother vibes,
but he definitely has a crush on her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that crush went away. He
it's like a
little heart eyes when he would like look at her. Yeah.
Less so in this season though.
In that flashback episode where William is looking at Eliza and telling her she's a good detective, I'm like, wish somebody would look at me that way. That's a side.
Someone's gonna say you're a good detective. You're like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I'm not a detective.
I like how you're looking at me.
It's the yes. Importance of eye contact is very important.
But no, I like that theory that Fitzroy just goes, I'm not a police officer. I'm a private detective.
He can follow his own path now instead of
just
just
good at investigations. His dad said so.
Yeah. So
he has an aptitude.
Phelps is probably not going to change much. He's still going to be as grumpy as he always is.
They brought back the wink.
Oh yeah,
previously on, and I was just like, they did that on purpose.
So okay, so what else could be different? I don't think we're going to go to New York. I think probably William's going to come back.
I don't see Eliza leaving just as she's starting to get her detective agency up and running. Because now she does have to rebuild. Now she does have the reputation that people know that she was the one in charge of Nash and Sons.
Also, Nash and Sons is no more, so all those clients.
There's no competition.
Well, there are other private investigators in London,
but no big,
but not as big.
Yeah.
So that means more coming her way. Here's another question. Yeah. What characters from all the seasons could potentially be brought back? Like Arabella could come back. Like other what if they brought the gas mask man? Like what happened to him? Like
he's in jail or dead? I can't remember what happened to Frank.
Yeah, so like
I think he's in jail.
I think he's in jail. I think. So anyway, so yeah, let us know. It's been a while. That's the beauty of like memory. If you forget, you can just rewatch the episodes and like, oh yeah, it's great. So like I just wonder like who they bring.
Maybe New Solomon will play a bigger role.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know. That was one of her sources
kind of
for information. Yeah, he was, but
I was surprised by that.
But maybe they were testing the waters. I don't know.
We always like to think that there's like this grand design for the entire show, but they're adapting things as they go
because of availability. Yeah. Because as much as I feel like William is a real person, he's not. He is a fictional character. Yeah. That is an actor named Stewart who is playing this role. So it depends on who they can get to come back. And I hope it's Moses. I hope Moses is back, and I hope they bring Clarence back.
Yeah.
I just love both of them so much. Like for side character, I mean, I love all the characters. I say this about all of them.
It's a solidly crafted show. if the creators are watching this, which they probably never will, but if you are, you're doing a great job.
It's amazing.
I love how intricate the plot lines are.
The twists always really surprise me.
Yeah, and the characters are really solid.
I wonder if they'll go back to it's always the husband in next season because we had a lot of wives.
A lot of wives
with murderous tendencies this time.
Well, and it's the Origins episode. The highlight I think of this entire season showed just how strongly the characters live on their own outside of the. I mean, the actors always are solid.
Great casting calls.
Yes,
but like
it was really good.
These characters feel real to me.
Yeah,
the actors are all phenomenal. I don't think there's a single one who has taken me out of this Victorian London reality that I immerse myself in every week. So
maybe that guy with the from the antiquities dealer who was in trouble, like with the hat and the mustache and the guy who the silhouette.
He
was kind of weird.
He's weird, but he feels believable to me.
He's believably weird. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know who they would bring back. I don't see Arabella coming back.
Probably not.
Because she kind of had she said her piece, and she was just like, "Good luck, buddy."
Yeah.
So.
No, probably not.
Godspeed.
So we just have hopefully another season where things get wrapped up.
Yep. We need to know whether William and Eliza have their happy ending. I feel most people will want that.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if William's willing to give a little.
So we've shared our ideas. Please share your ideas. Yes. Any ideas, theories, what you would love to see, what you would hate to see.
Whether you really hate that I imagine Nash and Moses as a love interest, let us know.
Yeah.
But I'm not changing my mind. Just letting you know.
Feedback's always appreciated. If we've missed anything as well, like in any of the episodes, let us know about that too. Because there's
the clues that I'm like, well, how did that happen? Because that happens a lot. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna assume that there was something that links this. Yeah. Let us know.
So thank you for watching this season.
Hopefully we'll be back again for season 5.
Yeah.
I would love if it just kept going, but we'll see.
Okay.
So, yeah. See ya.
See ya. Oh, you're still listening? Postscript is produced by Aimee Bealer and Jon Ferreras for WITF. You can find the show on your favorite podcast app and at youtube.com/@WITF Mosaic. Follow WITF on Facebook @WITF.org or Instagram @WITF.org for episode shorts. And be sure to leave a comment or email us at ps@WITF.org. Want to make a gift of support? Donate at WITF.org/Mosaic.